What's happening, party people? I am in the Chicago area. I'm going to be here another day or two helping a few people get things taken care of before I head west. Because when I get west, man, I'm not sure how long I'll be gone. Had a great visit with a guy yesterday, turned into a Volvo enthusiast named Chase. He had a couple 850s, now he has a V70R. Unfortunately, he had an accident. He's putting that thing back together. I had the chance to meet him, hang out with him, and help him get a little work done. We're also getting some stuff done for a couple of treasured customers we have here in the Chicago area. We don't want to leave them high and dry. So we're getting it done. Man, we're having some issues with people ordering new parts from overseas. Our tariff plan with Uncle Donald is working out great. Parts we used to get for, I guess, almost $900. Used to get them in 48 hours. Now it's taking about 3 weeks to get them because once they hit our shore, they're being held hostage, and a ransom demand is being made to cover the tariff adjustments we're having with them. So where that part used to cost about $925, they're adding another $170-ish to that. So do be aware if you order new stuff from overseas, maybe anything from overseas, you may encounter those, I guess, delays in getting your parts delivered, and that extra complimentary fee to help our country with the tariff deficit. So other than that, we're just keeping it busy. I got to run to Oklahoma City, take care of some personal stuff, back to Cincinnati for about a week, then I'm heading west. Hope you all are having a great day. Hope you had a great weekend. Peace. I'll be back soon. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Time to get cracking. My buddy Gilbert here runs home inspection company here in the Las Vegas area. And he racks up some miles on this XC90. He's probably doing 40,000 miles a year on this thing in the Las Vegas area. So he likes to stay on top of his car, taking care of maintenance. So he got a radiator, the heater hoses, a serpentine belt, which we did about a year and a half ago. But man, we probably put 70,000 miles on the serpentine belt. He thinks he sees a couple of cracks on it, so we want to replace that. So let's get started on that. Drain this coolant and get cracking. Man, yesterday was kind of a rough day. I got scammed twice. The first one, I let Gilbert hand me a little corner light. Said, hey, replace the corner light on this BMW. It should only take a couple of minutes. We looked at a video short. Looked nice and simple and easy. 3 hours later, we got this corner light replaced. The socket was stuck in the headlight assembly. It broke the tabs off of it to take it out, even though I was trying to take it out properly. Then when we started taking it apart, it came apart in a couple pieces. Then the bulb broke in it, fell inside the light assembly. Then the part fell in a couple of pieces, and another part fell in the light assembly. 3, maybe 4 hours later, we got it all back together and done. So a little simple bulb change took 3-4 hours on that thing. Then I jumped in bed, had a message notification from IG. I think I opened up IG and got distracted by what I thought was an incredible offer from Harbor Freight. Man, that fake stuff looked so good. It even had what appeared to be Harbor Freight's web address on it. I clicked more information. Looked like it took me to their website. Man, I checked out and found out that was a scam. It asked me for another credit card information. I already gave him my debit card, and when I seen it asking me for credit card information, I knew it got me. So I had to jump on my bank app, lock up my debit card, and then call this morning and get that debit card replaced. What a mess, man. My bank didn't authorize the charge, they noticed immediately through their, I don't know what you call it, their security services. They noticed immediately that it was a scam. It didn't even show up as an attempted charge on my debit card account. And they shut it down, and I got a new card coming, so that's probably going to set me back a couple of days. But hopefully today will be a better day, because I got to get a lot of stuff fixed on these vehicles and catch a plane tonight back to Cincinnati. So let's get cracking. I've got the front end of this truck so jacked up that the hood now touches the garage door. Let me drain the coolant, which may require me to remove some parts off the front of this vehicle to get the coolant drained. We're likely going to replace the radiator, serpentine belt, and these heater hoses on the back. Let me make sure he's got the right heater hoses before I start taking stuff apart. While the coolant's draining, I'm going to pull this off, really just for some visual aspects. Give me a little more light on the subject. Next, I'm going to take this air scoop off. Look like we got a couple eights here, and thread it from down there. This should pull up and off. It just pops off. Let me get this air intake stuff off. Next, I'm going to take the fuse box loose. I take the top off of it. I'm going to take that loose there, take those wires loose, unplug it there. I got an 8mm there, and then after I get that wire out of there, there's a screw down there I got to get out. Then I could pivot this out of the way. Laid this out of the way. I took the 2 screws out of the reservoir, moved it out of the way. Now I'm going to take the brackets out of the top of this AC compressor. I look like I had a 10 there, a 10 there, and maybe a 12 or 13 there. Break this zip tie, get this bracket up out of the way. Now I'm going to take the belt loose, put a 19 on that part right there, push that down, pull the belt off the idler. Then I'm going to take the AC compressor totally loose because I'm going to try to replace the decoupler as well. Well, not try, I'm going to. I got that part as well. So let me go ahead and do that. After I get the AC compressor out, you got a bolt here, a bolt here. Then I should be able to swing it forward after I lift it up off the guides. Then the bracket under it will have to come loose. A bolt here, a bolt down in there, maybe one other bolt. I'll take this intake tube out. Just that clamp on the bottom will get it out. You could leave that thing attached there, I believe. But I had to get it from the bottom. It was hard to get from the top. It goes onto your throttle body. So now I should be able to get this 13 right there so that I can get this AC bracket contraption off. I'm gonna pull it off with the belt tensioner still attached. But if you plan on replacing the belt tensioner, it's probably best to remove that bolt with it, the bracket attached to the engine, so that you have something to hold some torque while pulling that 10mm bolt out. I got that bracket out of the way. I was able to lift the AC compressor up, set it on that. I did have to pull a little clamp wire harness bolt out of that bracket. Next, I gotta move this ABS stuff. I gotta take it loose. I'm gonna pull that vacuum line off of the transmission and get that out of the way so I don't damage that. I'm gonna pull these 3 bolts, then those 3 down there, 8mm. Pull that ABS bracket all the way out of the way. Put the 2 screws there, the 7 screws still there. Put the 3 screws up there. Now I need to hold this back a little bit or whatever so I could get this power steering pump stuff loose. I know I got a bolt there, a bolt up over there, and a bolt or 2 down here. So let me get those 10mm. I'm gonna try to move this shift cable out of the way. You pull this collar up, you pull this button up, and then you disconnect the shift cable, lift it up out of that bracket. Just broke the 2 T25s loose from the power steering pump pulley to the water pump. And if you don't have the Allen that I use, you could use a socket, a long extension, and thread that thing on the back side of those and put your ratchet under this ABS stuff, hook it on there, and break those loose. So that's what I did before I took my last bracket bolt loose from the power steering pump bracket system. I got all 4 bolts out of that power steering pump bracket. Now I'm gonna try to pivot it out of the way, see if I can reach these heater hose connections. Man, I don't even see where they are, but maybe with this power steering pump out of the way a little bit, I'll be able to see it. To get these 2 firewall heater hoses, all you gotta do is pull this cover off the top, look over the back of the engine, and you'll see it. 2 clamps there. You can reach them with a long extension from the passenger side, get those 2 clamps loose, and pull them off the engine, and then do the releases on these up here. The short one is on the driver's side and goes to the lower connection down there. The long wiggly one goes to the upper connection and the passenger side. Well, I don't know if I've ever had a hard time getting the hose off, is that lower one right there. That hose was stuck to the pipe. I cut it and still couldn't get it off. I had to put it in a full Nelson and spin it around on the pipe. Now I still got rubber material on the pipe I need to clean off. So have fun getting that out. Good Lord, hopefully yours not like mine. This is the Las Vegas heat though, so that may have had something to do with it. So anyway, let me clean that up, get these things installed. Well, it appears that the driver's side one is smaller and the hose connection down there is smaller, and you can see the hose connection on the passenger side one is bigger and on the driver's side it's smaller, so you really shouldn't get them mixed up. Let me go ahead and clean that pipe off down there with a wire brush and get these things installed. Got those hoses tightened down on the clamps, push those in till they snap, clicked in place, massage them in, and they're good to go. Next, we're going to do this decoupler. Should only turn on the way. If you got a couple 100,000 miles on these, it's best to go ahead and do it. This one doesn't seem to want to turn at all. It's really tight, so it's probably bad. It's turned in both directions a little bit. So this thing definitely needs to be replaced. So this is the tool that you could get with the kit or buy separate for about 15 bucks. These teeth go on that inner side, and then of course the T50 or whatever it is goes on the inside of it. And you hold the tool with like a 15 or 11/16, and you break it loose with a breaker bar or a ratchet. I'm gonna try to use a breaker bar. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to put a wrench under here to hold that while you break it loose or not, but it may not be too bad. But if you crack something, you'll be the first to know, so you may want to hold it by hand, put a longer wrench on it, and break it loose with the breaker bar. Once it broke it loose, the screw came out real easy, and it wasn't that hard to break loose. It's supposed to be 60 Newton meters. So that's the seal on the back of that thing. If you decide to replace that, you do need the seal install tool. Let me show you what that looks like. Here's that seal for the decoupler shaft area, and here's the tool that you got to use to install it. So you put the seal on here and you turn that nut to push it in with this tool. Debating whether or not I'm gonna put it in. Well, as you can see, that seal appears to be dry, just some dirt built up around there. That decoupler is bad, so I'm definitely replacing that. That's the seal install tool, and here's an aftermarket seal. Man, I'm a guy that likes to let sleeping dogs lie, especially when it comes to dry oil seals. So I'm gonna spray that dirt off and put that new decoupler on there, torque that thing on there, and keep on going. I did torque that thing on with it leaning against that brake booster pump there. It clicked, and I don't see any damage to that, so it's probably fine to let the tool use that as a hold. So I got that on. I'm gonna put the dust cap on and keep working on getting this thing together. Press the dust cap in with my fingers. Now it's time to put this bracket back on, secure the bracket, put my belt in place, and start putting this stuff back together. We have the power steering pump in place, but lunch is here, so we always break for meals. Whoop, whoop. Man, the worst part of this job is putting this power steering pump back in against that water pump, and the centering cam didn't land right, and the power steering pump pulley won't spin. Can't screw it on there, so I gotta remove these 4 screws out of this bracket again to try this again, because it didn't line up, didn't work. So that little centering piece sucks. Had a real hard time getting that power steering pump against that water pump. Guide I had in there got jammed and didn't work out for me. So I had to pull the bracket back off, which was a bear. But I found out that it was a lot easier when I removed the ABS module from the ABS system. And then I got a 1/4-inch ratchet. That went a lot faster. So without this guide, I got that in. Everything seems to be well. I got everything back together. I got the coolant system filled. Only took 1 gallon. And really, I didn't take anything off the coolant system because we were planning on replacing the radiator. But since this took so long, we scratched that. So I filled the coolant system back up. That should be good. I'm gonna start the car, let it idle for a little while, move it. Put this in place because I gotta replace the radiator on that before I leave tonight. I got a flight at 10:45. So let me go ahead and move this, get this other car backed in here, up on ramps, and get the radiator removed because the radiator just arrived. They went to pick it up from the postal pickups location. Ran that car for about 15 minutes. I'm letting it cool off so I can check the coolant. I'm pulling the radiator out of this one. That's where the radiator broke off at. Here to that. Got a package from Amazon. Looked like Meet bought me a working gift. You know, guys don't mind working gifts. Women do. Let's get this thing open and see what it is. Look at it. Got one of these automatic wire strippers and a hand crimping tool. Make life easier, especially when we're doing mods on cars. Stripping wires, repairing stuff from, I think it said 10 gauge all the way up to 22 gauge. Awesome. Yes, sir. Make life easier. Time to put some finishing touches on this car. Now, I was going to simply top off the power steering fluid, change the oil, then put headlights in it. But I'm going to go ahead and replace this front clip on this car as well. So I think it'll be better if I put it on ramps. So I'm going to top off the power steering fluid, fire it up, back it up, put it on ramps, and then work on this other stuff. Heck, I might even turn this thing around to do that. Might have more room. But let me top off the power steering fluid and move it and get cracking. Well, they have scattered thunder showers around the area. I hope I don't get hit with any. But this vehicle takes this funny power steering fluid. I didn't know it was low because I thought I captured enough from the other system to fill this up. I don't see no evidence of it leaking. However, it was low when I checked it the other day. That thing is all the way down near the bottom. So let me top this up. Move the car over enough to get me some working room on both sides, and then take this bumper off. Now they claim this is compatible with that CF11 stuff. I think it said it on here somewhere. Do 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 do. Don't swallow it. There it is. It is compatible with that, but I'm just gonna put this in there. I don't believe stuff I hear from parts stores saying that, oh, this here is compatible with it. If they're not ready to buy a $800 power steering pump, I'm not interested in taking my chances. I'm gonna find the right stuff. It took about a fourth of the can, and it's above the max mark a little bit. After I test drive it 20 miles or so, if it's still above the max mark, I'll take a little out. But there we are. Let me fire this thing up, move it over a little bit. I want to take the bumper off so I can remove this front clip and get rid of that busted piece. And I don't know where else it's bent in here due to that, but a little bit of work, but I think it's worth it in the long run. If you have a Volvo that has this kind of audio system and you just purchased it and you want your Bluetooth stuff to be proper, you want to get rid of all the ones that are paired to it. What you want to do at this setting, you hit OK and it'll go add device. What I would do is go down to the next device. You turn this knob and it goes down to the next device. Hit exit on that. Then it'll say change device. It says random. You turn your knob clockwise and it'll go to change device. You go another one, remove Bluetooth device. You hit OK. None of these belong to this vehicle anymore, so we're just going to hit OK on remove all. Do you want to remove all paired devices? We're going to hit OK. To confirm it, no devices paired. You're good to go. Now you can exit here. No paired devices. If you want to pair one, you go OK. You hit OK again to add a device and search for paired Bluetooth devices. Make sure your Bluetooth device is in discovery mode. So let me put this phone in discovery mode and then I'll hit OK. Okay, when I hit discovery mode, my phone popped up there and then it popped up on my phone to enter a code. When I hit OK on the Pixel 7, it gave me a code to punch in. I punched that code in, I hit OK on my phone, and now, as you can see, I'm paired. If I was streaming, you would see what I was streaming, but I'm not streaming anything yet, and that's all you got to do. You can hit OK and exit and do other things on your car or whatever. So that's where we're at. It's paired, got rid of all the old devices. Let's go ahead and keep working. Have it on ramps. It should be easier to change the oil and change this front bumper thing. Since this bumper thing is going to take the longest, I'm going to do that first. Something's whistling and whining in here for some reason. Up there it goes, it stopped. Let me go ahead and remove the clips across the front of the bumper. Remove the clips in here, which I see are already removed. I got to figure out what I did with those fasteners on both sides. And gently lower this bumper down and try not to mess up the connections to the wiper fluid system here, which is probably empty because I see a whole bottle of it over there. Got scattered rain showers bother me off and on. I got the bumper set down here. This squirter looks fine, so I hope I got a squirter for the other side. Now I'm going to take this stuff off of this front clip piece here. Looks like I got a screw here, 2 screws here, 2 8s here, a couple of 30s or 40s there. I'm pretty sure I got to move these latches over onto that thing, so I need to undo the latches. Got to undo that. Got to undo the navigation thing, and the same over here, except for this weird wire harness that gets threaded through there. So let me go ahead and get this stuff apart. Last time I put this front clip together, I believe I did it in the dark, and I didn't realize that there's a pin there that hooks right there on both sides. This one was broke and it was black, but on the newer car it was green. So I moved that over here, and this one is still there. So let me hook those up, probably pull those fenders in a little bit because this fenders had a significant gap. Seeing this plug hanging down under the car on this 2011 T6, man, the plug looks clean. It was plugged into something, but it was just hanging down by the subframe on the front. It's a 4-plug connector. I don't know where it goes. I don't see anything that it can reach. Somebody's got any kind of clue, let me know, please. Dang, folks, winter is back. It is cold out here again. And we are gonna finish this car today. No take back, no changes. This thing is like my Achilles heel. Yesterday, I thought I had it pretty much done. And I turned around and went to test the hood. Opened the hood, opened right up. Forgot to put the safety latch on there. And guess what? The bumper has to come off again. That bumper has come off more times than, man, I don't even know what to say about that. I got a lot of practice taking off that bumper, but over here, it's got a little mild damage. So it doesn't quite go on as good. Also, I got a gap here. So this fender is sagging a little bit. It evidently got pushed out in the accident. Same over here. I think I actually have to take those fenders off and bend them some kind of way to get that gap closed. Other than that, they're going to look like that. Both of those fenders are damaged. So that's not going to help me. Anyway, I also found that plug goes to the boost sensor down there. I don't need to take the bumper off for that. But hey, I also want to make sure that this grill is secure. Oh, yeah, that piece in there. So I got to take the grill off. I got to take the bumper back off to make sure that I put that clip in. I got to adjust the hood latches because it's saying the hood is open. I'm going to change the oil. And there's one other thing I think I got to do. Oh, plug in that sensor. And then I got to fix this other piece that came loose on the intake pipe. So let's get this going and get it done. It is now 4 p.m. In this video, I'm going to be removing the bumper from an S60. You can actually do it with the car sitting just like it is. You don't have to take any wheels off. You don't have to take the headlights out. It comes out pretty easy. However, there are things under the car or attached to the back side of the bumper that you have to be careful not to damage. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, I'm going to pull the lights out because I'm going to do something with the lights, but I'm not going to take the wheels off. I'm also going to put it up on ramps so it's easier for me to get to the lower side. Let's get started. With the car up on ramps or however you're going to do it, let it sit. First thing you want to do is open the hood. You take this knob and you twist it clockwise and it releases the hood. Mine didn't have the safety catch, but you would normally put your finger under there, right about here. Move the safety catch a little to the passenger side, lift the hood up. The hood should hold itself up with those lifts. If it doesn't, replace those. Next, I'm going to remove the headlights, not because I have to, but just because that's the way I'm deciding to do this. Headlights are very easy to remove. You pull this up, you pull this up, set those aside. Now you can massage the headlight out and unplug it from the plug that's right down there. That's the plug to get the plug loose. You push down on that tab and you unplug it. You could actually reach from it from the top. Let me go ahead and get that unplugged. And there it is, unplugged. You can set it on the ground or something somewhere where you don't got to worry about it falling. And on this tab, you push on the front, the most front side of it as you can. And that releases the tab and you just pull it out, it's unplugged. Do that on both sides. As I've shown, these headlights are held in by these two pulls, the small one toward the front, the larger one toward the back, and it goes down through those guides there, all the way down there. Same thing on the other side. Now the back of the light has a little nub there that goes in that hole, but the front just falls in place. So when the lights are in, this tab goes through this hole, the lower tab goes through that lower hole, and then that pin goes down through there, and then this corner tab goes in there. Holds that light in very well. Next thing I do is take the bottom loose. Let's go down there and take a look at what you got to do. The bottom is held in with T25s. You got one there, one there, one there. They go all the way across the front. And this part of the bumper, the front part, has two tabs on it that push through this lower guard here. This lower guard is also attached to the bottom piece down here. I got a clip missing there. I got a clip there. Got another clip over there. So you can leave this piece on and pull a bumper. So go ahead and move those T25s around there and we'll go from there. Next, you have screws inside your wheel area. Don't miss this 5th screw in front of the tire down here. T25s, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. Remove those screws. Now that those screws are out both sides, you get a trim clip puller and pull these out. You could use 2 flat tip screwdrivers and work them up that way, but they actually have a tool that looks like a, I don't know, a beak that grabs these things, pulls these up about 3/4 of an inch, and then you can pull the whole clip up. Let me get them up, but you got to remove them all the way across the front. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of them. You could use a variety of these tools to get it out. Get it under the tip of it and try to massage them to come up a little bit. Do that on both sides with a screwdriver, 2 flat tip screwdrivers. Once you get them up about that much, you could even use something like this to get under there and work it the rest of the way out. Pull them up a little bit higher than that, and then you can pull the whole clip up. See how that came up a little bit? Now this whole clip should come up out of there. And if it don't want to come out, go ahead and pull the pin all the way out. Now it's sure to come out. Do that all across the front. Then you want to put that pin back in like that to get it ready to go back in when you're putting the bumper back together. Now that you have all the clips out, you need to unattach it from the bottom and then unattach it from the wings. So let's go underneath and make sure it's unclipped or unaligned or whatever you want to call it down in the middle here. So it has this little slot right there. You want to push that out, and you see there's some tabs. It'll pop out. Alright, now it should be loose from this bottom piece. Make sure you get all those screws out. Then you come here on this side. There's one on each side, and it's got this little piece right here that the bumper hooks over, or the other part of the car hooks in the bumper. So you need to get a hook or something to get in between the plastic of the bumper and that, and pull that off of that tab on both sides. Then the bumper will slide away. But remember, there's wire harnesses attached to the bumper. These lights are attached to the bumper. Your squirters are attached to the bumper. So it's best to have something here that you can set the bumper on. You can pull the bumper out almost a foot with that slack. So let me go get something to set under the car so I can set the bumper on. All right, I unhooked it from this side, as you can see there. Let me go get the other side. And just pull it out away from the car and lower it on whatever you got to set it on. Now once that's unsnapped, you start to pull it out. It has little tabs that catch on there a little bit. Massage them out on both sides, and you see the bumper jumped away from the car. This side has those damaged, but there it is. So now I can pull this bumper away, set it on that box. And there you have it. The bumper is loose and away from the car. You can see some of the green things that you screw the bumper onto. Looks like a couple of these fell off somehow. I'm gonna see if I got them on the other bumper. You also have these guides that are supposed to be up here. These fell off. They break when people remove them. But this goes up here like this. Now I'm going to adjust the latches because they're not closing properly. So these things have to come off. You got a release tab over there, a release tab there, release tab there. Set these out of the way. The other one was damaged and fell off as well. So it's down there somewhere. This is your navigation thing here. It gave me a brief error message when I started the car, but hopefully that's not damaged to where it won't work. And you see you got a wire harness there. I think it's for this lighting system in here, and you got your squirters here, and you got these little lights up here. So that's everything behind the bumper. Now I'm going to adjust these latches because they're not adjusted right. So I'm going to get everything out from in front of the hood, lower the hood down, and see where these latches are going to strike. And I'm going to loosen these two 8mm so that it strikes straight the way it's supposed to. I'm going to do that on both sides. This one actually may be installed backwards. That's why I had a hood open. This plunger should be in here, like on this one. So let me flip that around and get this proper. Well, I'm not 100% sure which one of these things is correct. So let me look at this piece of bumper over here. Yeah, the plunger should be in, not out. So let me spin this one around. However, this does hit this one. But as you can see, this hood latch should be over this way a little bit, so it's perfectly in line. And this one should be over a little bit to the passenger side so that it's perfectly in line. Because right now, if I close the hood, this would try to shift the hood. So let me go ahead and flip this latch around and go from there. Well, after taking another look, it appears that these latches are positioned properly with this plunger out and that plunger in. However, the problem is that they're probably just out of alignment. So let me loosen these, align it, close the hood, and see if I have a hood open warning. The hood closed nice and easy. Now let's put this release on there that goes like this. Let me put that on real quick. Now that's your safety catch. If for some reason something happens and your hood latches release, that safety catch will stop your hood from coming open. You can drive from New York to LA like that. Let's go inside, start the car, make sure we don't have a hood open notification, and make sure it opens easy before we put the bumper back on. So we only have 3 warnings. We have bulb failure because they're unplugged. We have maintenance overdue. And we have headlight failure, service required, because we have the wrong kind of headlights installed. Then there's some kind of warning there that the active headlights are not working. Okay, so let's make sure the hood opens nice and easy, and then we'll put the bumper back together. I heard it click like it came open nice and easy. And the catch is on it. Oh, this driver's side did not unlatch. Let me turn it a little bit more. Only one side unlatched. There it goes. I heard it unlatch that time. And it got caught by the catch. Slide that over, open up the hood. All right, we should be good to go. We could put these guides back in, put the bumper back up, and it should be good to go. I don't know if this latch is a little lower or higher than it should be, why it didn't release right away. But this is the cable coming through here and around here on it. Not sure if that cable is routed properly or not. Let me look at that other latch. I don't think it has a cable on it though. Yeah, that cable is routed properly, so that should be good to go. All right, let's go see if we have some of these green tabs on that old bumper that we could transfer over to this one so we can secure the bumper properly. So yesterday I had this plug that was hanging down here I told you guys about. Just hanging down, and somebody told me it's the boost pressure sensor, and that thing hooks up right there. That's the plug. That's the receiver for it. Boost pressure sensor. So let's grab that, plug that in, and hopefully that'll get rid of our check engine light. Maybe other than fixing that. Well, I was able to take my left hand, slide it down in this area, fill the plug, fill the sensor, and get that plugged in. So we are good to go. Whoop, whoop. Thought I was going to have to take the airbox out, but I didn't. All right, let's get this bumper reinstalled. That little tube there reinstalled, and fix that tube. So if you don't remember, this car had a deer strike, and evidently when the hood got hit, that's the hood there, the front of the car got hit, it must have jolted the support for the fender right here, because this fender is out about 1/4 of an inch, and probably the only way to get that support under that fender corrected is to remove the fender, and that's not something I'm going to do today. So let's move forward, get this bumper installed, and get that tube repaired and get the oil changed. Just found another repair while the bumper was down. I seen all that fluid there and realized it was windshield washer fluid. So all of that windshield washer fluid was coming out of the hose on the other side of the windshield headlight squirter. The headlight squirter wouldn't plug in and seal properly, so I took the one off the old car. We should be good to go now. Next, we're going to do an oil change on this Volvo with a T6 engine. This is a 2011. They've been using this engine a little while. You want 5W30, and man, let me tell you something. You have got to go full synthetic. I recommend you have your oil tested after a 5,000 mile oil change and see when they recommend you do it. So your first couple of oil changes, you want to change at 5,000 miles. And on your third oil change, you send a sample to the lab and have them tested and tell you whether or not you should go further. These cars, high performance, turbo cars, internal timing chains, you can't jeopardize running bad oil in them, or you can start wearing components in there. And the most common thing on this vehicle that wears is called a reed system, R-E-A-D. And it's a gearing system inside this car in there that runs your accessories. And when that gearing system wears, there's very few people that know how to repair it. Most people are just replacing the engine. That thing is so difficult to replace. So do not do extended oil changes on this vehicle unless it's verified by a lab that you can do that. As you can see, Castrol claims 15,000 miles between oil changes for high mile engines. This engine has 225 basically. So I'm gonna change it now. We just acquired this car. I'm gonna change it at 230. I'm gonna change it at 235, and at 235 I'm gonna send a sample to the lab, and if they tell me that the oil can go another 5,000 miles or something, or if it's just like 30% used, I'll take it to 7,500 miles. I'll do 2 oil changes at that, send the lab sample again with TBNs, and then at most probably 10,000 mile oil changes. But I'll extend the oil out until it's used 70%, have 30% remaining. Never try to go under 20% remaining on your oil condition. It's just not a good idea, especially with engines like this. Some prone internal things, especially timing chains in there. So first thing you want to do is remove this cover. Just pulls up, work it up and off of there. If you don't know it, this cover is heavily insulated. That insulation may be there for sound dampening. The problem is it also insulates the engine. It keeps heat on the engine. Mechanics, they run with no cover because they want some of that heat to escape there. There's no blanket under this one. I might take the one from over there, move it over here. But what I'm probably going to do is remove the insulation off of that cover. Use the cover just a shell, no insulation on it. Okay, so you want to check your oil, make sure your oil level's good. That's an indication of how much oil you're using. You want to check your oil monthly at a minimum. If you find it low, you have to add some. You want to move that interval in every 3 weeks, every 2 weeks, every week until you don't have to add oil. And then you know how far you can drive without adding oil to the car. Engines consume oil. That's just a fact. They leak, they consume. You don't want to run your engine low on oil and damage it. Now these have large oil sumps, so they extend oil changes. I didn't check the manual, but it probably says 10,000 miles. We'll check that, verify. Check your oil, undo your oil cap, really for venting for air. Now you come under the car, you got this little splash panel thing under there. It's held in with, I think, 7 screws, 3 on each side, 1 in the middle. So you remove all of them. And I got all of those removed. They're T30s. Then over here is your oil drain bolt. It's 17 millimeter. You remove that bolt. Get you a good oil catch under there, at least 7-8 quarts, because the car is a 7-quart vehicle. You don't want it running over. So no less than 8-quart catch. Let that oil drain in there until it starts dribbling. Then you come up here and you remove this cover. You want to move your power steering over because this vehicle is impossible to get the filter out with this in the way. You got your power steering thing here, clipped on the front clip like this. Gosh, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time getting this clipped on here. Clipped on like that. You put a screwdriver in there, pry it up a little bit, push that off. Maneuver it down, being careful you don't damage this coolant line there, because if you damage that coolant line, you'll be fixing that. Move it down and out of the way. Then you get your oil filter housing down there. It's got a 36 millimeter nut on there. You unscrew that, you flip it upside down and lift it up and out of there. If you lift it up and out of there with it down like that, it'll likely spill a bunch of oil down there. So get that up and out. Now you replace your filter. Your filter clips in this cap and it has a gasket on it. So we're going to remove the gasket and change the filter. I prefer Volvo filters, then MAN, then Mealy. And if you can't get one of those 3, get what you can, but you definitely got to change the filter. This is probably a Volvo filter. So here's the filter. You can see how dirty the oil is. Really, after 1,000 miles, your oil should be close to black. I don't know if it should be this black, but you don't use the color of the oil as an indication as if the oil's any good or not. I should send a sample of this to the lab, but I'm not going to. It is what it is. We're going to go forward from here with our maintenance. So you pull that up off of there. Now when you put the new filter on, you want to make sure, of course, the filters are the same height. And when you push it down on there, you want to lock it in place. There's no up or down with these. As you can see, this filter here seems to have more fins than that one. So who knows what kind of filter that one is. That doesn't look good. But anyway, I'm going with this filter here. You push it down in there. It's going to take two hands because that's a tight fit on there. So you push it down there until it clicks really. And it doesn't come up because you don't want this crushing in there because it's not all the way down. Some of them click, some of them not. Make sure it's all the way in there. Use two hands. Before you put the filter in the housing, you could pour out that old oil. Probably a good idea. See how nasty that stuff is. Now you got to get the gasket off of there. There's a little notch in there where you could put a hook in there and pull that gasket out. You probably should do that before you put the filter on as well. Pull the gasket up off of there. I was able to do it with that small needle nose pliers. As you can see, I use my oil eater pads to prevent me from making too much of a mess. Now you take the gasket out of here and put it down there in the rim that the gasket fits in. If you don't feel comfortable with how the oil filter feels pushed down over there, you can actually take the filter and push it down into the engine housing and do it that way, and then screw this on there. So that's where the gasket sits. Now if you look at the top of the oil thing, it tells you the torque value of that, 25.5 Newton meters. And if you don't have a Newton meter torque gauge and you got to use foot pounds, you take Newton meters, multiply it by 0.75, and you have your foot pounds. So you take 25% off of this, you're going to be around 18 foot pounds. So you screw that on there, and using that torque value will prevent you from breaking this plastic oil filter housing. So I'm going to fit this down in there. It's a good idea to spray that out with brake parts cleaner, so when you go to put it back on, you don't make too much of a mess turning this thing upside down. So let me get this filter out of here and spray that out with brake parts cleaner. So I use brake parts cleaner to clean that out, then use a rag to wipe it off. The main reason is to prevent me from spilling oil when I go to put this back in the car. Now, some people are hyper, I don't know what you want to call it, about getting all of the older oil out of the engine and out of the filter housing and all that stuff. Man, let me tell you something. You let that thing drain for 6 days and there's still going to be old used oil in the engine. And when you drain out 7 quarts of old oil, there may be, I don't know, let's just say a half a quart of old oil still in the engine, maybe a whole quart. And you add 7 quarts of fresh oil, that fresh oil is going to dilute that old oil down so much, it's not going to matter. You know, that's why I said I'm going to do 3 oil changes before I determine how often I'm going to do oil changes. So if you get a car, do a couple 5,000 mile oil changes, send it in the lab, and then run it as far as you can from there, going no less than 20% on your oil. A lot of vehicles have a oil change reminder that actually comes on based on your driving habits. So if you have highway driving, little aggressive driving, temperatures are not too high, your oil doesn't get too hot, it may recommend you change your oil every 15,000 miles. If you're in aggressive driving, you have a lot of stop and go city driving and more harsh conditions, it may recommend you change your oil every 8,000 miles. So if you got a car with that kind of computerized system that recommends oil changes, that's a thing you do as well. But I think that is programmed to recommend you change it at 15% oil life left. So anyway, just a bit of information. Again, 5,000 tests. And then I'm going to go from there. I got the oil filter in the housing as straight as I could get it. I'm going to lower it down in there, make sure it goes on, screw the thing down, and torque it at 25 Newton. If you don't have a 36 millimeter, there is a ridge on the outside of that housing for a oil filter wrench. So either one will get that on and off. I'm snugging it down with a ratchet. And then when it gets snug, I'm gonna torque. This is the 1/2-inch torque wrench I have. I had it set to 26 Newton meters, thereabouts. And I get the click. So I'm done. That should not leak. I go under the car. I install my drain bolt with a fresh crush washer so that it doesn't drip. And I torque that to 18 to 20 foot-pounds. Wipe that down. Now you want to fill the engine up with oil. I go 6 quarts, run it 5 minutes, check the level, and then give it another quart if it's not full. So if you need to, get you a funnel, add your oil. Let me say this about engine oil brand. Of course, Volvo recommends castor oil. That's who pays them to put their name on that cap, and that's my opinion. I'm not saying castor oil is not an awesome engine oil. I'm just saying that's promotion. Now, I like castor oil edge. I'd run it in my car, but they don't sell it in my preferred weight. So I run Mobile One. I've done oil lab samples on a variety of oils. Now, I was in a mechanic shop, one of my mechanics, and he was running Walmart Tech, whatever that's Super Tech stuff. I asked him, was he crazy? He said, no. He said, look here. First of all, their lab results from that are great. Secondly, they don't make their own oil. Somebody's making them for them. Thirdly, Walmart's not trying to get a class action lawsuit from millions of car drivers because their oil is destroying engines. So I actually ran it in one of my cars. I ran it for 7,500 miles. I sent the oil to the lab for testing, and that was the cleanest wear lab results I had ever gotten in any of my cars. So, full synthetic oil, I'm not too stuck on the brand, but a lot of people like castor oil. Mobile One was one of the first synthetic oils. A lot of people are going to liquid moly now. Again, Walmart's good oil. You know, just pick an oil, run it a couple of oil changes, get you some lab results, make sure your engine's not wearing, and then move on. I've heard of people using full synthetic oil and their engine lasting 1,000,000 miles. Not once, several times. A lot of people have had those results. So that's my 2 cents. Let me top this off, put this rest of this car back together, and take it for a test drive, check the level, top it off again. So this is everything you need to do an oil change. You need about 7 quarts of 5W30 oil. You need an oil filter, flat tip screwdriver, 17 millimeter wrench, preferably a socket set so that you can torque that drain bolt back on. You need an oil filter wrench or a 36 millimeter. You need a T30 and the ratchet to run that. Rags, glove, brake parts cleaner, at least an 8-quart container to catch your oil, and a torque wrench. That ought to do it. I use oil eater rags to help catch excessive oil that may spill over or something like that. So these are the headlights, how they look before cleaned. We'll see how they look after they're cleaned. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help, go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.